update title. So Rtk lesson 8. Doing remembering the kanji lesson 8 on Anki. Lesson Anki. Okay. So let's check out. Where does it say? Yeah, it says he's powered by stream.io. This is for YouTube. Cool. I'll mute this. What about Twitch? Twitch is doing the same. Doesn't say stream.io. Huh. Never mind. Okay. So let's continue. I just pretty much want mod view just in case anybody comes in. New easier moderation. Press the alt key to pause the chat, then point a message to deleted block key. Okay, got it. Top chat, live chat, sure. Okay. Let's go. All right, so let's add new cards. So this is soil. I have about 24 kanji to add for lesson 8, and I'll be done with that lesson. Soil. I don't like it any more than you do, but this kanji is not the pictograph it trumped up to be. A mound of soil piled on the ground. All I can recommend is that you memorize it as it is. Anyway, it will be occurring with such frequency. Okay, just a moment. Okay, back. Okay, anyway, it will be occurring with such frequency that you have almost no chance of forgetting it, even if you try. Okay, as a primitive, the sense of soil is extended to that of ground because of its connection with the kanji for the same. Okay, from there, it also takes the added meaning of dirt and land. Okay, so it is a primitive. Let's add that. Oh, no. The deck should not have been. Okay, the deck should not have been the default deck. Change deck. So both of these. Change deck. Put them in lazy kanji. Move cards. Yep. All right. So we were adding to lazy count. Choose. So next one is not a primitive. So mouth. So let's do the soil. Okay. Next one is mouth with soil, that is spit. That's easy. We have here a rather small mouth. It is always compressed when set to the left, next to a much larger piece of dirt. It is not hard to imagine what you might do if you got a mouth full of dirt. At least I know what I would do: spit it out as fast as far as I could. Okay, so mouth and dirt. That would be spit. Add. Next, we have cliff with soil or dirt. This is pressure. One of the things that causes the erosion of soil is the excessive pressure on the topsoil of the topsoil on the lower soil. This can be caused by any number of things, from heavy rainfall to heavy buildings to the absence of sufficient deep-rooted vegetation to hold the layers together. Here we see a steep cliff without a tree in sight. The slightest pressure on it will cause a landslide, which, with a little help from your imagination, you will be able to see happening in this character. Okay, so cliff on soil is pressure. Cliff on soil. Okay. So this is soil strange. Cape. The cape pictured here is a jot of land, like Cape Cod. The soil, okay, so yeah, like Cape Town. Okay, the soil on the left tells us we have to do with land, and the strange on the right tells us it is a cape where unusual things go on. Put a haunted house on it, an eerie sky overhead, and a howling wind rustling through the trees, and you have yourself a picture of a Cape Strange, or if you prefer, Cape Odd. Cape Strange. Cape Strange is, well, Cape is soil with strange. That's gonna be hard to remember. Cape. So Cape is soil with strange. Okay. Soil with span is hedge. Okay. The hedge depicted in this frame is not your ordinary run-of-the-suburb shrubbery, but the miraculous hedge of briar roses that completely span the castle grounds, in which Sleeping Beauty lay for 100 years, so that none but her predestined beloved could find his way through it. Okay, so it's soil. Okay, ground. Okay, span the ground. Hedge, span the ground. Ground and span. That's a hedge. Okay. Ground and true is inlay. When we hear the word inlay, we usually think of setting precious stones in pieces of jewelry. But the primitive elements here suggest truth being inlaid in the soil. You might think of you might think instead of the cosmic wisdom that inlaid the truth of the universe in the stuff of the earth. So inlay, um, yeah, inlay is ground truth, ground and true. Ground on ground or soil on ground. Square jewel. Okay, now I'm going to do something unusual. The character in this frame is going to get one meaning and the primitive another, with no relation at all between the two. In time, I hope you'll see how helpful this is. Okay, the kanji keyword square jewel depicts a mammoth precious stone, several feet high, made by piling up large heaps of soil on top of one another. Uh, Not something you would want to present to your betrothed on your wedding day, but a good image for remembering this rare character. Used chiefly in personal names nowadays. Okay, so it's a jewel made by piling large heaps of soil on top of one another. Okay. As a primitive, we shall use this character to mean ivy, that creepy vegetation that covers the surface of the ground to form sort of second ground that can get somewhat tricky to walk on without tripping. Okay, square jewel is a large jewel made by soil on soil. Okay, and this one was a primitive. Primitive. Yep. Okay, so square jewel and measurement. That would give us seal. Think of the keyword seal as referring to a letter that you have written and prepared to close. Instead of using the traditional wax seal, you glue a sprig of ivy on the outside. In this way, the elements ivy and glue give you a curious and memorable way to seal your secret letters. Okay, seal as in seal shut. Um, so we have ivy, a sprig of ivy, and glue. Yeah, or measurement. Yeah. Okay. Add. All right. So water, cliff, and ivy. That is horizon. After seeing a constant horizon of water everywhere for months at sea, could there be anything more delightful to the eyes than to look astern and see the ivy-clad cliffs on the land on a new horizon? Of course, you would need the eyes of a stellar telescope to recognize that the vegetation was in fact ivy, but the phrase ivy clad cliffs has such nice ring to it that we won't worry about such details. Ivy clad cliffs after water. Water, ivy clad cliffs. Okay, that is horizon. Let's do them. So the one, so this one is ivy clad cliffs. So this is horizon. The one before was seal. Okay. Now we add. Okay. This is Buddhist temple. Terra. You've heard people attaching themselves to a particular sect. Here is your chance to take that metaphor literally and imagine some fellow walking into a Buddhist temple with a fervent resolve to attach himself to the place. Okay, since there is plenty of unused land around the precinct, he simply picks out a suitable patch, brushes the soles of his feet with glue, steps down firmly, and so joins the Buddhist temple as a permanent member. Okay. Okay. Right. So this is soil and then glue. Soil and glue. Buddhist temple. Okay. And isn't it a primitive? Okay. Time would be what is time? Asked Saint Augustine in his memoirs. Ask me not, and I know. Ask me, and I cannot tell you. Here we have the kanji's answer to that perennial riddle. Time is a sun rising over a Buddhist temple. It sounds almost like Zen call, whose repetition might yield some deep secret to the initiated. At any rate, imagining a monk seated in meditation, pondering it might help us remember the character. Sure. So it's sun and Buddhist temple. Next is level. These two dots are rather new. The level this keyword refers to is not a carpenter's tool, but rather the even surface of a thing. It pictures soil being scooped up into a ladle. Oh, yeah, so this one is a ladle, but then there's another dot. And then made level. Apparently, because one is measuring soil. The excess drops off soil. The excess drops of soil are brushed off the top, which accounts for the added drop at the ladle's edge. Okay, so soil, leveling, level is soil with a ladle, but an extra drop. Okay. Now we're starting the fire element. Fire. Just sitting before a fire enlivens the imagination and lets you almost see anything you want into the flames. This kanji is so simple that it lets you see almost any sort of fire you want to see. It no longer makes a good pictograph, but I invite you to take a take a pencil and paper and play with them with the form. First, writing it as shown below, and then adding lines here and there. Okay, to see what you could come up with. Everything from matchbooks to cigarette lighters to volcano eruptions to the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah have been found here. Okay. No doubt you too will find something interesting to bend your memory around these four simple strokes. Sure. To avoid confusion later on, it is best to keep the meaning of a fireplace or hearth or a raging conflagration like a forest fire for this kanji's primitive meaning. Another primitive element for fire based on this one is written like four dots and will mean flames, cloudron, uh, cauldron, sorry, cooking fire, or an oven fire. Sure, it's easy. So this is, of course, a primitive, and it looks like sure. Now it's no longer primitive. Next character is inflammation. Two fires. A fire belongs in the hearth, not over it. When the fire spreads to the rest of the house, we have an inflamed house. And as with any inflammation, including those that attack our bodies, the danger is always that it might spread not checked. This is the sense behind the reduplication of the element of for fire, one atop of the other. Okay, so fire, sure. Like this. Oops. Okay, and firehead, firehead, anxiety. Couldn't be simpler. The existential condition of anxiety that arises from the inevitable frustration of our worldly passions is contained in this character. The head is set afire, causing deep torment of the spirit and a whopper of a headache. Yep. Oops. Again. Let me see the stroke order. Yeah. It's a regular fire, two dots first, and then the head. Yeah. Okay. Water with inflammation is thin, really thin. The primitives in this kanji read water inflammation. Taking inflammation in its medical sense, the first water-related inflammation that pops in the first water-related inflammation that pops into mind is dehydration. Really? The principal symptom the principal symptom of which is that it makes one shrivel up and look very, very thin. If if that if that is hard to remember, try thinking it backwards. A very thin chap passes by you, and you imagine him suffering from being inflamed with dehydration, and hence the element for water. That is rather bending, but I guess it's the story, the imaginative nature of the story. Like, yeah, the unusualness, which makes it imaginative rather than an everyday occurrence that binds up um, primitives and makes you remember thin. Okay, so thin. So thick was thick. Thick was boy raised being under the sun near a cliff. Develop thick skin. Okay, thin is water inflammation. Okay. Add. All right. This is fire street or fire nail. Yeah. Since it's very hard to read fireplace without going blind, so this is lamp. Lamp. Okay. Since it's very hard to read by the fireplace without going blind from the flickering and flames, or flickering of the flames or burning up from heat, our ancestors invented a way to nail down a bit of that fire, just enough to light up the text of their evening newspaper, and no more. Voila, the lamp. Okay, so it's fire nailed. A lamp is a fire that is nailed. Okay. And fire brain is, yeah, farm. Looking at the primitives, we had fire, a fireplace, and a rice field. We find the essential ingredients for a farm: a warm hearth to sit by at night, and a well-plowed field to grow one's crops in the day. Sure. Farm is fire next to a rice field. Cool. Disaster. Kaji, I think. Disaster is stream of fires. Stream of fire. Of all nature's disasters, this kanji picks out the two worst: floods and fire. To recall the disposition of the elements, think of nature's solutions to nature's own problem. A great flood pouring down over a great forest fire. Okay. Disaster is flood over fire. Cool. Last five, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yes. Last five. ashes. Okay, the kanji for ashes literally includes a primitive for fire, or more specifically, fireplace. Now, what do you do with that bucket of ashes that you have just cleaned out of the fireplace? You walk to the edge of a cliff and tip it upside down, watching as they are swept away in the wind like a swarm of gray mosquitoes. Thus, thus the fire, once it has turned to ashes, ends up at the bottom of the cliff. Okay, ashes is where fire goes to die. Okay. Fortune telling fire on fire. This is spot. If you look into the flickering of a fire for a long time and then turn aside, you will see spots before your eyes. Although nobody had ever thought of such a thing before, at least as far as I know, they didn't. Imagine using these spots as a technique for fortune telling. The old witch sits before her cauldron and watches the spots that show up when she turns to look at you, and from that tells your fortune. Think of it as a kind of spot check on your future. Okay, so spot is fortune telling with fire. Illuminate, shining fire. Illuminate, shining fire. Although the range of possible meanings for that the kanji for illuminate can have is about as rich as the connotation of the English word, we need to focus on just one of them to make something shine. If you glaze a pot and put it into the oven to fire it, you in fact illuminate it. Hence, the kanji for illuminate incorporates the kanji for shining with the primitive elements for the oven's fire. Okay. Illuminate is shining fire. Sakana, that's a fish. Fish is, this is, what was this? Bound up. I think this is bound. Bound up, rice field, bound up, rains, and fire. Okay. The composite of this kanji uh, shows three elements, which we list in the order of the writing: bound up, rice field, cooking fire. Not much to work with at first sight, but we can join them together by thinking of a three-part story. First, a fish's coat bound up on a line with its unfortunate schoolmates. When the fisherman gets home, he cuts off the head, tosses it with the entrails out onto the rice field for fertilizer. For fertilizer, and the rest he sets in skillet over the cooking fire for his supper. Sure. Okay, let's do it. Bound up rice field fire. Okay. Fishing. Add water to a fish. To the story we have just made about fish, the kanji for the profession of fishing adds yet another element before others, namely the water, where the fish was happily at home before being caught, disemboweled, and eaten. Be sure to get a clear image of the water when you put it all together. Okay. So fishing is rather water, bound up, rice field, fire. Add and close. Now we have added, 24 cards times 2 for forward, back, and back forward. Now let's try to test ourselves. Go to the filter deck and rebuild it. There should be 24 new. Yeah. Study now. Time is sun over Buddhist temple. Ashes, where fire goes to die with the cliff fire. Disaster. Flooding and fire. Inlay. Soil. Truth. Thin is water inflammation. Spit is mouth dirt. Seal is square jewel. Glue. This IV glue. Yeah. Yep. Inflammation is 2 fires. Cape. Cape would be strange land. So land, strange. Yep. Hedge. Hedge would be we said it's the ivy. Sorry. Snow White. What about Snow White? I forgot. Show answer. Oh, span. Oh. Ground span. Okay, again. Square jewel is one big pile of dirt. One dirt over dirt. Lamp is nailed fire. Nailed fire. Fish is bound up in the rice field. over fire. Soil is this. Horizon. Horizon is water, cliff, ivy. Pressure. Pressure is cliff over cliff over soil, right? Yeah. Spot is fortune telling on fire, with fire. Hedge. Hedge is soil that spans. Illuminate. Illuminate is shine with fire. Fishing is fish in water. Level. Level is ladle, soil, ladle, and extra drop. Yep. Buddhist temple. Soil, glue. Anxiety. Head on fire. Fire, head. Fire is fire. Farm is fire and the rice field. Time, we said it's time is sun, Buddhist temple. Ashes, cliff, fire. Thin is water, inflammation. Inlay, soil, truth. Disaster, blood, fire. Spit is a mouth, dirt. Square jewel is soil on soil. Inflammation is fire on fire. Soil is, well, soil. Cape is strange land. So land that is strange. Seal. Seal is ivy with glue. Pressure is cliff, soil. Spot is fortune telling on fire. Horizon is after the water, see a cliff with ivy. Anxiety is fire, head. Lamp is nailed fire. Illuminate is shining fire. Hedge is dirt that spans. Fish bound up. Rice field fire. Buddhist temple. Soil blue. Fire is fire. Level is land, dirt, or soil scooped with a ladle and extra draw. Fishing is water and fish. Farm is fire and rice field. That's it. No more. Alright, now to do the kanji, from the kanji to the keyword. These should be fast. Strange land is a cape. This is illuminate. Fire. Farm. Fish. Disaster. Hedge. Buddhist temple. Seal. Spit. Lamp. Horizon. Level. Inlay. Time. Ashes. Anxiety. Wait. Thin. Pressure. Soil. Square jewel. Inflammation. Fishing. Spot. Fire. Cape. Seal. Hedge. Farm. Illuminate. Time. Fishing. Horizon. Buddhist temple. Soil. Inflammation. Lamp. Disaster. Fish. Ashes. Spot. Spit. Inlay. Thin. Level. Square jewel. Anxiety. Pressure. All right. That is it. We're done with lesson 8. And how can I make sure that my previous streams are automatically saved? YouTube Studio, maybe? Why is it not dark skin, dark theme? Dude, no. Close. Videos. Live. YouTube, save, stream as video. Do live stream. Depends on if YouTube live stream, yes. If the streams are on Twitch, no. Archive live streams, yeah. Our classic live streaming tools are giving away, sure. Try the live control room, which combines our class. Okay, if your live stream is less than 12 hours, YouTube automatically archive it for you. The option applies to all types of live streams, including Stream Now, events, webcam, mobile. YouTube will automatically archive. Yeah, sure. Go to YouTube Studio, click the live tab, visibility. Oh, okay. Sure. That's good. Okay, I don't need to. Perfect. All right. That is the end for the stream, and I'll stream again. Well, it's largely nobody's watching these. It's largely for my own sanity, just to get in the mode of being watched. That makes sense, or me trying to explain what I'm doing to somebody. Anywho, all right.